Grand day, everybody. Grand night. Let's go ahead and settle in. Settle in to the SaCrEd LiGhT Community Lounge for this second ever SaCrEd LiGhT Community Nightcap. Live here on Instagram. Live on Facebook. Thank you to all of you that are tapped in. Live on the Instagram. Thank you all of you that are tapped in. Live on Facebook. And thank you to all of you that will be tapping in the future. Either on the replay or on the YouTube channel. Welcome in Kaya, Rusty, Jordan. Go ahead and settle in. Get yourself grounded into the space. Grab your tea, your water, plant medicine, your snacks, whatever it may be that you like to relax and unwind with as you get cozy into this nightcap. I'm going to refill on my water, grab my tea, grab my snack, and then we'll get things rolling here in the Night Lounge. Enjoy the beautiful jazz music that we have from our local band here at the Nightcap Lounge. Enjoy yourself. Okay. So as we begin to flow tonight in this SaCrEd LiGhT Community Nightcap, I, Marcus Crystal Light, would like to ask you to do something. If you could for me, do me a favor, and if you're on Instagram, part of this beautiful community of the SaCrEd LiGhT Nightcap Lounge, if you could do me a beautiful favor go ahead and hit that share and send button and send this live out to any wonderful brothers or sisters in your friends list that you think would benefit from this beautiful holistic space and sacred space. I appreciate you guys for sharing and allowing others the opportunity to be able to be a part of a healing, conscious community space. Thank you. And if you're on the Facebook Live, if you may, please do the same. Share this live with one other person or many others that you find would resonate with this type of esoteric, conscious community space. And along with that, my only other request, show a little bit of love for yourself and for the community here tonight. Maybe put some hearts in the comments, or any way that you would like to show love for yourself and for all of us together as a unified, conscious community. So, tonight on the SaCrEd LiGhT Community Nightcap, we are going to be exploring a little bit out of the Kybalion Hermetic Principles. And the Kybalion Hermetic Principles are based on ancient Egyptian, or Kemetic, for others that like to use the ancient term. It is also based off of philosophy of the Greeks, so not only ancient Egypt, but also ancient Greece as well. So the Kybalion is the universal laws, the different studies and principles that these different occultists, as they would say, not cult, but occultist. And for those of you that are not aware of what a occultist is, if you look up the word occultist, its definition is going to be somewhere along the lines of a conscious being or a spiritual being that observes and studies the ways of creation or the ways of life. This also can tie into the mind of what most describe as an alchemist. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the term alchemist, as well as the book The Alchemist. It's a prime example of the type of principles, the type of studies that they mentally live by in these type of movies, these books, and these other demonstrations of these universal laws and universal studies. So here tonight, the Kybalion is what we're going to be reading from, and this has the Egyptian and Greek principles when it comes to the way of creation and how you can become in tune and in harmony with these laws and principles of creation to then become a self-master or the alchemist of your reality and your life that you manifest and create. These are also believed to be teachings and studies that are channeled or brought here to this plane by one of the spiritual beings, the archetypes, or the Egyptian, Atlantean priest gods, as you could call them throughout many different texts and aspects, is Thoth the Atlantean, also known as Hermes Trismegistus in ancient Egypt. So not only will we be reading out of the Kybalion tonight, we will also be pulling a card out of the Magical Dimensions Oracle. And in this oracle, we'll just be doing a general message tonight to just get an overall message for the collective and seeing what type of energy could assist us with our focus tonight. So, along with all this, we will also be connecting with and enjoying the wonderful energies of where we currently are in our astrological and nature cycle of life right now. And that is currently the 111 gateway, or the 111 portal. So we'll also be tapping into the energies of this, as I will facilitate a guided meditation later on tonight. And I just want to wish you guys all a happy new moon. And it's an honor and it's a blessing to be able to share such a beautiful and sacred space during the energies of this time. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tapping in and being a part of the community. So for everybody out there, I just want to remind you guys to stay hydrated. I actually just had a podcast recorded with a brother about water and the importance of water for our being, the importance of having living water and what living water looks like. This is a podcast that I'll be releasing pretty shortly, so be on the lookout. And I just want to remind you guys to stay hydrated, clean water. And just an idea to give you guys is you can get water bottles like these right here. And in this water bottle, it has a space or a container. And within it is shungite stones or shungite crystals. Fun facts about shungite is that shungite is about 90% carbon, and due to that and its structure, it is a natural filter, it's a natural cleanser for water. So you can buy your own shungite at home, which I do myself and have been for about 4 to 5 years now. And it's a natural filter for your water. Not only that, but it also gives you minerals that are natural and rejuvenating for your body on a physical as well as energetic level. It is also able to help your mood as well as your energy, and it helps with your bones and much more. So shungite is a wonderful crystal. It is a wonderful stone at helping rehabilitate your body as well as your energetic and emotional health. And it's a natural cleanser and protector of EMF frequencies. So for those of you that have any fears or are aware and sensitive of 5G towers and different radiation waves, you can get shungite and you can wear it, you can drink it, you can have it placed around you, and it naturally helps you dissolve electromagnetic frequency waves going into your being. And band, if you may, just turn the volume down a tad bit for us so we can tap in a little bit more. So if you ever have any questions about at-home water or ways to cleanse your water in a cheap, efficient, and affordable way, you guys can always reach out to me, just direct message me, and I'll give you anything that you could possibly learn about shungite and shungite water, as well as the steps on how to build your own shungite water at home, which is quite simple actually. And the steps are just ordering shungite, and then you cleanse it, as in you boil it in water on the stove for about 10 minutes. And then you rinse it off with cold water. And then you get yourself a large container, preferably glass. You don't want to get plastic. There's a lot of things about plastic that you want to avoid, such as microplastics, as well as other things that leach into your bloodstream and throughout your being. But you get a large glass container, and then with that, you just place your shungite in there, and then you fill up the container, and it can actually be tap water as well. And then you let it sit for at least 2 days. And then after that 2 days, you have filtered and remineralized water by the shungite. This is something that I've been doing at home for roughly 4 to 5 years now, and I've never looked back. You save from buying plastic. You also are not supporting, honestly, a very impure way of spreading and giving water. And it's also more efficient. It's right here in your home. You don't have to buy any stones for roughly 2 years. And you save a lot of money. So if you want to know about the steps of this very simple technique, just let me know. Direct message me. I'll literally give you the website that has step for step how to set up at home, as well as what to look for, and the ins and outs of what the whole entire thing is, and what type of benefits it brings to your health. So there's our first gem for tonight, is the beautiful shungite water. Cheers to that. So, shungite water, it is living water, so it naturally electrolyzes your being, since it's living water, due to the structure of it. Now, I'm not like an expert, or I'm not like a well-experienced person when it comes to like structured water and what it is in depth, but yeah, structured water has really been life-changing for me, especially when you understand the science behind it and how it brings electric and electrolyzes the water within your being, which then helps electrolyze your cells, your nervous system, and everything about your being, really. It's truly amazing, and it brings very deep levels of healing to your being, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, as it's also a spiritual element. Good old water. So, who out there is a tea drinker? Hot tea. If you're a hot tea drinker, I'd love to hear what your favorite hot tea is. Feel free to drop it in the comments. And I'll get our cards ready. So my favorite hot tea, because like the only thing I ever drink is water and tea. You know, water and tea is really it. That's all I feel like I need. But my favorite tea, I have to say, is Egyptian licorice, or it's a tough one. It really is. There's so many good ones out there. I do like a good chai rooibos, or a lemon ginger. I'll say those are like my tops. But yeah, feel free to drop your top teas. Drop your top teas in the comments. I'd love to see what your guys' favorite teas are. You know, You know what's been really nice these days is just taking things slow, really being present, and just really feeling the gratitude, the love, and the beauty of being alive and being connected to this plane, this physical plane. As much as it can be tiring and painful and other things in this physical plane, you know, we find so much beauty in the simple things in this life that we don't get to experience in other ways, in other places. And, you know, I started to really not take things for granted as much. Even though I never really was somebody that did take things for granted quite a bit. You know, I found a new spot within me in these last couple of days after the experience I had Sunday night when I was nearly shot laying on the couch in my living room on Sunday night. And I'm gonna go ahead and address this situation and fill you guys in on what happened, as you know, it was a very real situation for me as a human being. And wow, this was a rare situation to ever occur that I never even thought would happen. But I'm laying on my couch, and next thing I know, while I'm watching the Sunday night football game, it's about 11 p.m. Eastern, and I'm laying on my couch. I'm like kind of falling asleep while I'm watching the football game. And next thing I know, I kind of wake up to like a popping sound. Now, it sounded like it came from my kitchen, and it wasn't loud enough to think anything of it. So I kind of thought it was a little weird, but then I went to sleep shortly after. Then I got up the next morning, and I look over at the kitchen, and I see a hole in the wall. And then I turn around, and then I see over by my screen door in the living room, on the wall, there's a perfectly round circle. And I just like look at both of those, and I look and I'm like, it looks like this is like a perfect streamline, these two circles. And I was like, man, the only thing it could be, I think it would have to be a bullet came through here. And mind me, you know, I don't live in an area where there's any violence or gun violence. You know, I live in a pretty almost suburban-like area out here in Ohio, and this is a very rare situation to ever occur. So, long story short, you know, I was laying on my couch falling asleep when that happened, and this bullet came about 2 to 3 feet above where I was laying on my couch. So yeah, that's been a little bit of a process for me with just going through the psychological and emotional processing that event has brought an experience of to my being. And I gotta say, more than anything, it's filled me up with so much more gratitude, even though I was very grateful for life, but even more gratitude, also even more value in life, and just really like a newfound connection to really not taking things for granted and feeling the blessing of being alive and being healthy for not only myself, not just my family, but for everybody, for all of you as well. And I thought about that the last few days. I thought about, like, what could have happened if I was sitting up on my couch? What could have happened if I was standing in that spot, walking across the aisleway? And yeah, the for real answer would have been a streamline through my head, and that would have been crazy. So that's a little bit about what I just kind of been processing the last few days. And I really do think about, you know, these spaces I hold, this community, the community of all of us on Earth as human, you know. I really think about if I would have been sitting up or standing in that spot, I would not have been able to be alive the next day to say a word to any of you guys again, or to anybody. So I'm just really becoming grateful for it all, and grateful that I'm still here, not hurt, that nobody else is as well. And yeah, I trust I'll definitely fully heal from the experience, for sure. A lot of wisdom will come from it. So I just like have this new fire lit in me now, where I feel like my purpose is now, and nothing is to hold me back from being my purpose. Because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, we're really not. A couple of feet, a couple of inches is all it takes for something to happen to anybody. No longer am I going to take a day for granted. Let's try to stand in love. When I say love, unconditional love, be able to see through each other when it comes to our triggers, our flaws. Being able to hold space for one another. Being able to just express, not personalize anything towards anybody, but just try to understand each other, and know that we're all good intended. We all just want peace, connection. We know that's what we all truly want, is peace and connection. So, I know I want peace and connection. So what do I do about it? I come out here and sit with all of you. Come live in my real life. And explore what Spirit has for us. And I highly encourage any of you out there that are feeling lost, feeling confused, feeling unworthy or unsure of your skills, your gifts, your talents, if you can really do something with it. If people will enjoy what you do, or if people will like what you do, or pay for what you do. I'm telling you all right now, I guarantee you, you have a special gift inside of you. I bet you have a skill or talent that brings wonderful beauty, wisdom, or some type of connection to another human being on this earth. I'm telling you, you are all gifted, each and every one of you. And I'm just out here to help show you. Band, please. Kick it. You know I love this mug. Do you know why? This is why. Goku is why. Gotta love Goku. So if you guys are just joining me, thank you for tapping into the SaCrEd LiGhT Community Nightcap Lounge. Got a local jazz band playing once again. And tonight we're going to be exploring the Kybalion Hermetic philosophy. And currently we are pulling some oracle cards from the Magical Dimension Oracle deck. There it is. Okay, so our first card we have here. If you may, band, please turn it down just a little bit. Alright, there we go. So our first card tonight on the SaCrEd LiGhT Nightcap, we have the Guardians. We have the Guardians. And the Guardians represent shielding, defense, and warning. Okay. Shielding, defense, and warning. So I'm kind of curious. Take a moment, if you may, and take a moment to do a critical reflection. A critical reflection upon what shielding, defense, and warning could mean to you presently in your life. So I'll repeat that to you guys. Just take a moment to critically reflect upon where you feel shielding, defense, and warning can be applied to your personal life right now. And sometimes what this type of energy can mean with the guardians, shielding, defense, and warning, this could be saying that you're about to go through a cycle, or you're about to go through a period where you're facing a impulsive pattern or an impulsive behavior that has continued to be excuse me, a impulsive behavior that could continue to become a pattern and cycle within your life that you're trying to dissolve or remove. And with that comes quite a bit of difficulty sometimes. It comes with a little bit of chaos, and it can also come with other things metaphysically, such as attachments, holes within your auric field or your energy field, as well as imbalances in your chakras and your energy centers. With that being said, you become very vulnerable. You also become very sensitive energetically due to the wounding within your auric field, as well as the type of cords that are bringing energy in and out of your space. And yes, in and out. When I say in and out of your space, think of these cords as these metaphysical, energetic cords of energy. And they are created and they form and attach to the relationships that we have in our life, as well as any memories in time and space that we have an attachment to. There's a lot more to it. If we really wanted to go deeper, we could another time. But think of these energetic cords as like the connection runway of the energies from you to the other person. And then throughout your relationship with them, however that relationship dynamic is, the dynamic really isn't what really matters. It's more of just the energy of the relationship when it comes to what we're speaking on here. So then the core basically is continuously exchanging from both energy fields. With that being said, when there's lower vibrational experiences, when there's what we could call toxic experiences that create imbalances throughout the beings, it then is continuing to siphon and transfer with each other. And that's where you hear about, cord cutting or releasing of attachments. This is all the same type of sphere that we're talking about here. So with that being said, the guardians, they're just offering to you. And the guardians can be whatever you would like them to be, whatever's resonant for you. And when I say the guardians, I'm saying whatever type of guides, higher power that you would like to connect with. You can always call upon them. And they want to bring their awareness to you now, that they're available to you, always. But they just need your permission, they need your consent, because you're a sovereign, spiritual being. And part of being in this free will plane of existence is the law of free will. So with your consent and permission, just opening yourself up with an affirmation daily, such as, I am open to my guides, I know I am connected to my angels, or I am connected with my higher self, I am open to receiving higher guidance. Anything like that is a very simple way of just turning your consciousness to the awareness of being connected with your guides, being connected with your higher self, being connected with God or Yeshua, Jesus, or Buddha, whoever it may be for you. So with that, when you're in a sensitive space of healing, and when you're in a vulnerable space of releasing, it can be very supportive and balancing to bring protective measures to your energy field for the multiple different reasons that we've gone through already tonight. And with that type of shielding and protection, you can utilize different crystals, such as the black stones like obsidian, onyx, black tourmaline, jet, and much more. They bring protection energetically and metaphysically to your energetic field. Along with that, they bring grounding as well, which is able to help pull out and release any blockages and imbalances in your energy field. We're dropping gems tonight. We are dropping gems, raw and untouched. All I want is to give you guys knowledge and wisdom to utilize for your own self-empowerment daily. Just as it's done for me in my life. It's amazing. It's really amazing what we can do with consistency, repetition, self-love, and practices. So, this is where we get a little spicy. Yes, I said spicy for all of you guys out there. This one's gonna get a little spicy now. So this first card is gonna lead us into this card that I'm about to go over here. And it's deep. We're going deep. And when I say we're going deep, it's time for us to really start feeling into our hearts. Feeling into our hearts with where we are right now as humans and individuals. When it comes to our flaws, our positives, as well as the things that we're struggling with, the things that we are transcending with. And with that, our second card is the arena of forgiveness. And with forgiveness being our second card tonight, this brings redemption, rebirth, and regeneration. So with this being said, this is a very deep time that we're in. I'm not sure if any of you guys out there are having very similar times where just very surreal, very deep experiences and moments are taking place that are just really kind of life-changing. And with that, it's really been helping me access gratitude even more. And with that gratitude, accessing forgiveness. And the power of what forgiveness provides. Wow. I mean, I could go on all night about forgiveness and the power behind what forgiveness can provide to our human life. But it says redemption, rebirth, and regeneration here on the card. And when I read that, this makes me think of like the mercy that it brings from human to human when we access radical forgiveness. And when you go through life and you have these experiences of going through struggles, going through imbalances mentally or emotionally due to experiences of life and, you know, the wounds that we pick up throughout life when we you know, go through the trials of love and self-realization. And we go through those trials of self-realization and love, and you know, we become humbled. We become more compassionate and understanding of what we're all capable of, and also what we're all capable of going through, from the highest to the lowest of, you know, good to bad, if you really want to polarize it that type of way. But yeah, you know, going through the realization through many experiences in this human journey of the spectrum of life, the contrast, it just really deepens my connection to forgiveness and to have understanding and tolerance for humans and, you know, what we go through in the human perspective. And through that, you know, I think about what that can do for others by me accessing forgiveness for them, or forgiveness for my own self. So, something I invite you to, if you don't yet, is anytime you have the opportunity, the blessing provided to you, to offer radical forgiveness to another being, just take a moment to think about how it felt for you when you were radically forgiven by somebody. How freeing that felt. How uplifting and supportive that felt. And you know, I feel like all of us, through this human experience, could just wish nothing more than receiving radical forgiveness and grace for, you know, a flaw that we had, or a shadow behavior, or a slip up that's taken place. And that's just how real life is. It's how real life is that we have these human experiences throughout the contrast. And that's part of it. With that being said, that's why I enjoy being here for each and every one of you. As I know it's not always easy out there. out there in this simulation, holographic matrix reality system that we're in. If you guys ever want to have an episode about that, let me know. We could talk about some matrix simulation stuff. We could talk about the multidimensional universe. So forgiveness. Now, I'm not saying forgiveness is the easiest thing. I'm not saying it's the easiest. But there is a order, there is a stability that you can follow and harmonize with through many different practices and strategies to access forgiveness. And no, forgiveness doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be in person. Forgiveness can also be mentally. It can be energetically. And you can do it through journaling. You can do it through writing a letter. You can do it through a meditation or prayer. You could do it through an energy healing session. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than chocolate chip cookies. What is your guys' favorite type of cookie? I have some plant-based chocolate chip cookies. I've never found anything better. They're soft baked, kind of like the Pillsbury ones. So our two cards tonight, the Guardians and Forgiveness. So, while going through your healing process, accessing forgiveness and unconditional love, keep in mind, you beautiful star seeds, light workers, conscious beings, or just beautiful beings of love and light. Remember your sensitivity. Remember your vulnerability. Remember your empathy. And remember your accountability of your sacred space, of your aura, your energy field. Remember to take ownership, to be consciously self-aware of your mind, body, and emotions, the state of being that you're in. If you're wounded, if there's a lot of toxicity, if you're needing to rest, if you're needing to nourish, if you're needing to put forth masculine energy, just try to remember to stay tuned in and tapped in and aware if any of this applies to you. And with that, you'll typically feel if you are more naturally needing feminine energy, as in nurturing, replenishment, and rest, or if you're needing more masculine energy, putting forth, creating, working, self-discipline. So just remember to ground, call in protection, and utilize your protective energies while going through your healing process, while accessing your heart and forgiving for the experiences in your life, as you'll be sensitive and vulnerable during those times. And during those times, be wary and keep your eye on your impulses, the cravings, and your past attachments that may arise. And remember, it's part of the process, but the more we can be conscious of it, the more we can allow ourselves to not attach and just take the wisdom and the information from the experiences, we will naturally discard and release the rest. And this is our natural system, as we are information collectors, tuning forks of energy and vibration and information. So just keep in mind. And it appears that we have one last friend that was sitting out, that wanted to join us. That's the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council. Okay. Interesting. Star family, assistance, and cooperation. Ooh, okay. So, I know a lot of you guys heard about Miami, the Miami Mall. Now, I don't really care to attach to any story or belief about what happened there, but I just really like the talk. I just really like the talk of extraterrestrial life. I like the talk of potential intergalactic beings being present in our collective reality. I like it. I like the talk of it. Whether it's real or not, I just like the talk of it. And I'm glad that it's being talked about. I'm glad it's becoming triggered within our collective conscious. And I feel like it's just the beginning of a self-realization for a lot of us on this planet. Now, some of us that were kind of like the wave before this wave that is kind of taking place now of self-awareness, we've kind of already been conditioned and prepared for the awareness of extra-dimensional life besides human and earthly being an actual thing of creation. So with that being said, we're kind of like already, I don't want to say we're already been prepared, because like we were prepared a long time ago. But we're like in the future when it comes to that, compared to those that are in this wave that are becoming aware now of extra-dimensional life. So it's really cool to now be kind of like the last wave or the last generation that has become self-aware, and to now hold space and be able to see the ripple of this wave that's now becoming self-aware of extra-dimensional life, and then the next wave that will, and then it's just going to be the normal in the collective, and we're going to have a self-remembrance that, oh yeah, we are multidimensional beings. Oh yeah, a lot of us have actually lived many different life forms and lifetimes beyond just this human life. Many of us are accessing our Merkaba. Many of us are astral projecting. Many of us are having many different out-of-body experiences, having recalls. There are little kids that come to this earth and they're like super little, super young, but they just have like the highest skill levels. And not just the highest skill levels, but they're also sitting there recalling their own past life regressions. And they're just telling their families about it and stuff. So, if your question is, Marcus, do you believe in extraterrestrials or do you believe in extra-dimensional life? Absolutely. I'm already aware that I am I'm already aware that I am an extra-dimensional life form. I have become aware of my soul origin, my soul lineage, what my original self-aware, individualized soul form was created. And that was Lyra and Elder Christo. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is for a whole nother time in a whole different space. Who knows what they'll think if I'm out here talking about that on here. So, we're going to go ahead and navigate into our book that we are going to intuitively read from tonight. And that's going to be the Kybalion, Hermetic philosophy.
SaCrEd LiGhT Healing and Wellness is a sacred safe space and container to help bridge and streamline the collective conscious. Along with this, providing spaces and holistic energy healing practices to help uncover our hearts and strengthen each other from within.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you.
So that we may tap in to the awareness of our sacred light within. If you are someone that is looking for sacred space, looking for conscious reflection, conscious guidance, as well as receiving energy in particular practices that are able to help with shedding layers, becoming clear, gaining wisdom from our past experiences, as well as strengthen our relationships and bringing balance and harmony into our everyday well-being. Here at SaCrEd LiGhT Healing and Wellness, I, Marcus Crystal Light, offer my holistic quantum healing services of Reiki, personal customizable guided meditations, light language activations, crystal healing, soul origin and Akashic meditations, chakra empowerment, intuitive life guidance, and oracle card readings, These services are all available to you today through my holistic energy healing practices. You may contact me, Marcus Crystal Light, on Instagram, SaCrEd-Light33, Facebook, Crystal Light Robbins, email marcustut23@gmail.com. Contact me today to inquire about a service or to ask any questions on your healing journey. Wholeness, balance, love.
The Hermetic principles for everybody out there. These are some of the laws of the universe, of creation. Studies of the mystery schools in Egypt as well as Atlantis. These are the laws such as the law of polarity or duality, the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of vibration, and I believe the law of gender. There are 7 of these Hermetic philosophies or principles that are within this Kybalion. The Kybalion is a very sacred and ancient text. It's almost just as valuable as our study from last night, cAp, which is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's also just as valuable as the Bible or any other ancient text, Dead Sea Scrolls. That being said, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we have out of the Kybalion tonight. Oh, okay. So, tonight, in this SaCrEd Light Community Nightcap, Tonight we are starting at the Principle of Correspondence. The Principle of Correspondence, which is principle number 2 of the 7 Hermetic principles of the Kybalion. The Principle of Correspondence. As above, so below, as above. The principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and the phenomena of the various planes of being and life. The old Hermetic axiom ran in these words: as above, so below, as below, so above. And the grasping of the principle gives one the meanings of solving many a dark paradox. And hidden secret of nature, there are planes beyond our knowing. But when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much that would otherwise be unknowable to us. This principle is of universal application and manifestation on the various planes of the material, mental, and spiritual universe. It is a universal law. The ancient Hermeticists considered this principle as one of the most important mental instruments by which man was able to pry aside the obstacles which hid from view the unknown. Its use even tore aside the veil of Isis to the extent that a glimpse of the principle's geometry enables man to measure distant suns and their movement while seated in his observatory. So a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel. Whew, man. The band is hitting the spot right now. This reading is hitting the spot right now. The cards have hit the spot. Wow. This nightcap tonight. Y'all know this is only the second SaCrEd Light nightcap. I gotta say, I'm really liking the vibe. Thank you all for joining me. Whew, that was some potent wisdom right there. Super potent wisdom. I'm gonna give you guys a moment to process some of what was just said. Because I know that is some really deep deep wisdom. Ooh. So go ahead and take a moment and process that wisdom of the law of correspondence, and then we'll kind of go over it together, and I'll give you guys my perspective and my channeling and breakdown of what the law of correspondence means through my translation to you guys. We get the band to switch up the vibe a little bit for us as we begin the process, the law of correspondence from the Kybalion. Feel free to take a moment to take a break. Grab some water if you would like, or some more tea, or a snack, whatever you'd like. Alright, so I got the band to switch it up for us tonight. Just let me know how you guys like the vibe. If we need to change it, we can change it. I like it. I don't know about you guys. It's the night cAp. It's time for us to relax, kick back, and allow ourselves to unwind, escape from the time that has us pressured and feeling like we need to do these things that go against the grain of our soul. Our soul. Our soul. Our soul. Hola. Welcome to the space. This is the place where you get to be you. Connect with the crew of conscious divine beings that are overseeing the human life on the earth plane. Mentally, constantly switching lanes, orchestrating, demonstrating my own things, from the metaphysical to the material plane. Oh, throat chakra activating. Now I need to sip some water because I'm starting to ventilate. Water check for everybody. Drink that aqua. Stay hydrated, stay relieved. Alrighty. Alright, band, I need you to turn it down a notch for us. Alright. So for everybody that's just joining us, and thank you for doing so, kicking back here in the SaCrEd LiGhT Nightcap Lounge. And just let me know if any of you community, any of you that would like to hop on and vibe with the community, talk about some consciousness, esoteric knowledge, share some light and love with the community, just let me know. This is a community night lounge, and if you would like to share in a sacred, divine way, absolutely welcome. So we're on the Principle of Correspondence here. This is principle number 2 in the Kybalion. The law of correspondence. The principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and the phenomena of the various planes of being and living. Alright, I'm going to break this part down before we continue. And if this resonates for you, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if it doesn't resonate, or it's something that maybe you slightly can understand but are not fully sure, just know that there's always the power of planting a seed, or there's always a process that can be started whenever you acquire information. And you may not exactly get all the answers, you may not be able to get all of the information that you are to unpackage from the information that you receive all at once. It doesn't mean that it could potentially come over time and integrate into your being, into wisdom and lessons through time. So with that being said, just remember, give yourself compassion, give yourself patience, give yourself self-love for the curiosity, for the will and desire to want to change and grow. Give yourself compassionate love and patience for it. So, it's saying here that this principle, the law of correspondence, it embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and the phenomena of the various planes of being and life. Okay, so what this is saying, to break it down and make it more condensed, so to say, is you can see throughout life, and not just throughout life, but throughout all life, in many different forms and ways. you can see the corresponding patterns that blueprint and map material creation and existence. I'll repeat this. You can see throughout life in many and pretty much all different ways, if you really study and pay attention closely, you can see the same replicated patterns and cycles embodied throughout different forms in life. With that, that's a prime example of the law of correspondence, showing the correspondence between all different forms and planes of life, having the same type of geometrical patterns and sacred geometry that creates the foundation, the mapping, the blueprinting for spirit to material, or metaphysical, energetic into material and physical. Whew, that was the transmission. With that being said, when we start, see, here's the thing, it's like, not one of us, including myself, as much as I channel, as much as I create in whatever else I do, there's not one of us, including myself, that has more access or is more able or have a higher potential of being able to become consciously aware and pay attention to these type of details, such as the patterns, the cycles that are embedded throughout all of creation. This is also a prime example of, the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang represents the two polarities. And then it also represents the two polarities actually being together, unified, creating the balance and the wholeness and the capability of existence and creation. Without one, there is not the other. So therefore, with both of those being corresponding to each other, it brings a balance for life to exist. So that is a prime example of what this first sentence means in the law or the principle of correspondence. And with that being said again, this principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being in life. So yes, when they say that there's nothing new under the sun, or life comes in cycles, or life is patterns, it's all truth in a way. And it's not black and white always, but we always subtly find ways to slip in the truth in the things that we stereotype in life. So yes, when you study this stuff, you study these patterns and these cycles, you're able to start accessing self-mastery of, okay, I can start paying attention to these cycles and patterns. I can start harmonizing myself, harmonizing my reality and my life and my perspective with the organic flow and the nature of where we are in the cycle as a collective. And then with that, you tap into a lot of peace and abundance and access a lot of efficiency. Okay, so the next sentence on the principle of correspondence. And let me check my battery. Okay. We have the old Hermetic axioms ran in these words: as above, so below. As above, oh, got me. I knew it'd get me sooner or later. It's as above, so below. As below, so above. And the grasping of this principle gives one the means of solving many a dark paradox and hidden secret of nature. There are planes beyond our knowing. But when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much that would otherwise be unknowable to us. That is so potent. Goodness gracious. Alright, so I'll break this down for y'all real quick. The old Hermetic axiom ran in these words: so as above, so below. As below, so above. And the grasping of the principle gives one the means, solving many a dark paradox and hidden secret of nature. So as above, so below is basically saying, prime example is astrology and the earth. You know, what's going on with the planet alignments and everything in astrology can also be a correspondence and alignment to what is going on with our nature here on earth, as well as our bodily fluids and our different stages of being. And with that being said, it has a dark paradox to it. And when it says dark paradox, it's saying it has a paradox of just like it just like really gets it gets shadowed a lot. You know, this type of knowledge, this type of understanding, it gets shadowed a lot. And that brings darkness to it because, you know, it's not commonly talked about or commonly brought into the light of our collective human consciousness right now. And with that, it makes it like secrets. Secrets of nature, secrets of life. Almost like they're forbidden. But really it's like, it's what we are. It's our essence. It's what gives us our function and is what we're built upon to be able to be. Is these type of principles and laws of creation. So how can you shun people for talking about them? Or how can you tell people not to study it or practice this type of knowledge? Right? That's why I'll forever be here. Thousands of years. So, there are planes beyond our knowing, but when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much that would otherwise be unknowable to us. Okay, so I really like this one. There are planes beyond our knowing. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically saying that, you know, there are multidimensional realms, planes, lighter vibrational fields of existence that we're not able to physically touch or sense with our human senses, but are parallel to us and are here right now. And with that being said, this may be very foreign or very non-understandable for our being at first. But when it says we apply the principle of correspondence to this awareness, we are then able to start understanding or understanding what is within these different planes of existence, what makes up these planes of existence and why they exist, and what they mean to us in relation to our human life, and what we are able to access and do and shift with these different planes of existence. So yeah, when we study deeper into the layers of our multidimensional life and start stepping into the understanding of extra-dimensional life, archangels, the angelic realm, our ancestor realm, the elementals, and much more, we start accessing a whole new ball game. And it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of beauty, it's very infinite and expansive, very imaginative and dream lucid-like, but really more of your actual reality that you're experiencing, because you're tapping in and becoming more embodied and accepted of the multidimensionality that you are, that you can access. So, have fun exploring, the studies, the principles of creation and existence that you have the free will to explore and experience eternally. And yeah, you may think like, oh, why would I need to know all this stuff? Or I don't need to know any of this stuff. Well, just think of it like this. If you're just going through life and you're just thinking like, oh, I'm just another human being. I just live and I die. Maybe even believe that you go to heaven or hell. But you think that's all your life is and that's all that there is to life. But then, think about how much more depth, how much more life you get to feel, be present with, and allow to flow through your being. When you step into the awareness and acceptance that you're a multidimensional being, that you can astral travel, astral project, that you can heal your past, that you can access multi-dimensional planes, different supportive archetypes, different guides. It's one of a kind. It's one of a kind to be aware of your multidimensionality. Stepping out of body consciousness Remembering that you're more than just this human being, more than this human body, more than just your mind and your emotions. But you are experiencing them all together. So we have here, this principle is of universal application and manifestation on the various planes of the material, mental, and spiritual universe. It is an universal law. Okay, so the principle of correspondence is of the universal application and manifestation on the various planes of the material, mental, and spiritual universe. It is a universal law. So saying the law of correspondence is present in the mental, the material or physical, as well as the spiritual universes, or within those aspects of our being. So with this, you can become aware of the replication, the division that takes place naturally through the patterns of creation. Everything is a replication of a pattern. When you recognize the replications and how the replications became replications, and what type of pattern or coding is behind what made it exist, you're then able to replicate it through your own intention and in your own authentic way. This goes throughout all of creation. So the ancient Hermetics considered the principle as one of the most important mental instruments by which man was able to pry aside the obstacles which hid from view the unknown. Wow. So the principle as one of the most important mental instruments which man was able to use to pry aside the obstacles which hid from the view the unknown. That's amazing. So, to sum that up, it's saying that this principle was able to be one of the most important ways to allowing people to mentally view through their perspective that the universe is simple. The universe is simplicity. It's order. There's an order and balance. There's a simplistic nature behind everything in the organic nature of life. And that is through patterns, frequency, and correspondence of it. It's amazing and so beautiful how these ancient texts and these universal laws and principles just bring you right back to the core, just bring you right back to the center of what life is and the pureness of it. We are so blessed, so blessed. We create our own obstacles when we're outside of this balance, this harmony, and this type of awareness of life. And we can easily dissolve a lot of our own obstacles very quickly through this type of reprogramming and rewiring of our subconscious and conscious mind. Okay. So it's used even tore aside the veil of Isis to the extent that a glimpse of the face of the goddess might be caught. Just as a knowledge of the principle of geometry enables man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in the observatory, so a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Study the monad, he understands the archangel. Okay, so our last part of our Kybalion study tonight in the NiGhT. Thank you all that are still with me. Wishing you all a beautiful night or a wonderful rising, depending on where you are in the world. But thank you. Alright, so it says, just as a knowledge of the principles of geometry enables man to enables man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in his observatory, so a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the unknown to the known. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel. Okay. So the knowledge of geometry enables man to measure distance, suns, and the movements while seated in the observatory. So that is just a symbolic meaning, and it's a symbolic representation that when we become aware of the geometry, when we become aware of the correspondence throughout life, whether it's through this physical plane, the geometry and patterns that we recognize throughout different things such as, fruits in the human body, or leaves and trees in the human body, the eyeballs and roots, different fruits and vegetables with the human body, all these different correspondences of patterns. When we are able to continue to look into this, to study this, it's referencing that we are sitting in the observatory studying the sun and the movement. This is what this principle and law allows us to do when we honor it, when we learn it and apply it to our life. It gives us the opportunities to experience these type of experiences, such as understanding nature, how nature works, how we work with nature. And this is where a lot of religions come in. A lot of different spiritual practices like Wicca, elemental magic, a lot of native cultures. The law of correspondence is studying the stars and applying it to human life. Understanding what's going on with nature through looking at the cycles. Law of correspondence. And also, I want to say the law of correspondence, you can also acknowledge that there's basically, as they say, a golden thread throughout all of existence. And you can see that anything that you study deeply actually has a correspondence and a similar replication to anything else in existence, no matter the micro or the macro level of it. It's so interesting. I love it. Alright, so it also then says, so a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. So yeah, when you are able to step into the awareness of the correspondence principle, you're able to intelligently and consciously be able to have a better understanding of how the metaphysical connects to the physical, and the physical connects to the metaphysical, and the other ways that this replicates. And then it says, studying the monad, he understands the archangel. So the monad is, if I believe correctly, the soul or the individual being that's going through the journey. And then the archangel is basically the guardian, the Christ figure that holds its place divinely in the light and doesn't need to go through human experience or go through darkness. The monad is the one that goes through the darkness, goes through the trials and shadows and other things. But wow, whew, that does it tonight on our SaCrEd Light community nightcap. I'm your host, Marcus Crystal Light. And wow, what a beautiful night we've had. That study was out of the Kybalion, Hermetic philosophy. For any of you that would like to join in anytime that we pull this book out on the nightcap, you get the book and you could join in and tap in on the same page and read along, as I'll be using it throughout space and time in the nightcap lounge. And tonight we studied the law of correspondence, or the principle of correspondence, principle number 2 of the 7 Hermetic principles. Feel free to leave any of your feedback, any of your comments regarding the Kybalion, the law of correspondence, or anything regarding this nightcap episode tonight. We also had a wonderful oracle reading out of the Magical Dimensions Oracle, which I'll go ahead and show you guys for anybody out there that would like to get this deck yourself. It's a wonderful one. It's got galactic, fairy, elemental, and angelic cards. And it also has a couple added in chakra cards as well. For everybody out there, you guys can watch the replay on Instagram, SaCrEd Light 33, or here on Facebook Live, Crystal Light Robbins. Thank you guys all for tapping in, supporting, and showing love. You guys can watch the full episode on YouTube, SaCrEd Light Healing and Wellness. Thank you for all my subscribers. And you guys can watch the full episode by the end of this weekend. Keep an eye out, as it'll be up by the end of the weekend. This was another SaCrEd Light community nightcap here in the lounge. Kybalion flow. Thank you all for tapping in on Facebook for the first time. Leave your comments and feedback. Thank you on Instagram. Much love to all of you. And thank you that I'll be tapping in on YouTube. Wholeness and balanced love.
as much of it as you possibly can get because it is putting people online. Spend as much time in that sun as you possibly can.
My third eye's open, I can see past the commotion. I can't get lost in the moment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I live on the side with the chosen. Higher dimensions we going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My third eye open, I can see past the commotion. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I live on the side with the chosen. Higher dimensions we going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Guy, you done been through enough, I would say. Energy different, the frequency change. My third eye is open, I don't see the same. I am not playing, I don't rap in the game. I am my affirmation manifest. I don't need the fame, I was born with the wealth. They ain't give me nothing, I got it myself. This is that dope and I'm rocking the scales. Channel energy from my life force. Tiger's eye, sunstone and clear course. Raise the vibration, what I'm here for. Connected with my solar plexus, I can feel the source. If I want it, then it's mine, that's a clear choice. Kundalini up the spine as the heat absorbs. Forget the phone with a spaceship and real stars. With a spaceship and real stars. One point in time, I ain't had vision. Then I had a vision. Came back with purpose on the mission. Cosmic energy, astrophysics. And line up my